Hey everyone, welcome back to Alpha Insights. I'm Nate.
And I'm Niva. Happy long weekend if you're listening. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
Quick housekeeping. Markets were closed for Memorial Day, so the last trades were as of Friday, May 22nd, and the next trading day is Tuesday, May 26th. We're talking policy headlines and product safety stories that landed over the weekend, and what those mean heading into next week.
Right. The headline riff is simple. A bunch of federal and state moves, plus a consumer safety report, have made the cannabis space a bit risk-heavy heading into the week.
Let's start with the Department of Transportation update. They clarified rules that now require directly observed urine collection in situations where oral fluid testing isn't possible. That's a big shift.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, the real question here is how this affects the workforce. Truck drivers, federal workers, anyone in regulated roles where drug testing is routine.
Observed urine testing creates privacy and logistical headaches. Employers face higher costs and more paperwork, and some workers face extra anxiety during hiring and onboarding.
For companies, analysts note this could translate into higher compliance spending and friction when trying to normalize cannabis use among employees in regulated industries.
And from a demand perspective, if workers avoid certain jobs or companies tighten policies, that can indirectly weigh on sales. Not because the market for cannabis dries up, but because access and perceptions change.
Switching to states. Alabama voted to delay automatic state-level rescheduling that would have followed the federal change. That creates a legal mismatch between federal law and state practice.
Which matters because a mismatch can block licensing, complicate banking, and keep taxes and enforcement rules in limbo. It's a reminder that federal action doesn't instantly harmonize 50 different state systems.
And Delaware is wrestling with competing bills to regulate hemp-derived THC products. Lawmakers are trying to square consumer safety, retail access, and business continuity. So the rules are still very much in flux.
Two quick reactions.
Interesting.
Complicated.
Okay, consumer safety. High Times ran a deep dive on charcoal joint filters, suggesting they may strip terpenes and might not reduce tar, and could even increase tar exposure if people inhale differently.
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by this one. Consumer confidence is fragile. When questions like that surface, retailers and manufacturers often need to produce lab data or change labeling quickly.
Right, and that could push more transparency in testing and possibly more product recalls or shelf changes. Data suggests trust moves demand fast, especially in a category still trying to win mainstream consumers.
There's also an interesting global angle. Pieces about cannabis as a survival crop in fragile states and tourism-driven mixes in places like Jamaica show demand durability and evolution outside formal markets.
Exactly. And to add to that, the sector looks split. Informal markets and tourism demand can be resilient, while formal retail faces regulation and testing headwinds.
So what should listeners watch before trading resumes on Tuesday, May 26? First, regulatory timing. See whether states like Alabama move from objection to formal rules or stay in limbo.
Second, testing technology. Announcements about certified oral fluid tests or DOT guidance could ease workplace tensions. If new certifications appear, that can reduce hiring frictions.
Third, Delaware's hemp bills. Whichever way that goes could influence neighboring states and retail rules for hemp-derived THC.
Fourth, consumer confidence signals. Follow lab testing disclosures, recalls, and retailer responses to the filter story. Those items can move demand quickly.
And analysts note that volatility tends to spike around regulatory headlines. So expect sharper moves in the major cannabis exchange-traded products and names like the broad U.S. cannabis ETF, Trulieve, Green Thumb, Curaleaf, and Tilray.
Quick reminder, this is informational only. We're not giving investment advice. Analysts note risks and catalysts, and data suggests you should size reactions carefully around regulatory news.
All right, let's wrap. Big takeaways?
Policy and safety headlines over the weekend raise short-term regulatory risk and could pressure demand heading into next week.
State-federal mismatch and stricter workplace testing can create hiring headwinds and extra compliance costs.
And consumer safety reporting plus shifting global demand means the sector is still juggling trust, informal markets, and tourism-driven growth.
Got questions? We'd love to hear them. Head over to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us anything, and we'll answer live. And while you're there, check out more market content.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back after markets reopen to break down the moves from Tuesday. Until then, enjoy the long weekend.